Howdy, this is Lemmy with RevZilla, here to talk to you today about Shad luggage. You should be checking out some Shad luggage for your motorcycle if you want to bring some stuff along with you while you're riding your bike. Now, Shad makes luggage to fit all manner of items. However, this is really going to boil down to the luggage racks themselves. You're going to have to check out some fitment there. I'd recommend you use our bike finder. We'll show you exactly what's going to fit your motorcycle. You should know beforehand, though, Shad is primarily concentrating on sporty or naked motorcycles. Installation on these isn't terrible. You're probably looking at a 2-bearder, depending on your bike and what piece of luggage you want to install. You should be aware that your first installation is typically going to be a lot more difficult than subsequent installs of the luggage. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. First, let's start off with the luggage racks themselves. We'll get this luggage off of here. This is really the heart, I think, of the luggage system for those of you who are looking to install saddlebags. You can see here we've got a set of Shad racks on this bike. So these are constructed of steel. This is black painted. Now, when you're looking at these, notice that these are visually, I think, reasonably light. Now, these do come off somewhat easily. If you wanted to pull these off the bike, you can simply leave the hardware and the spacers on there for a very unobtrusive look. However, if perhaps you just want to leave the racks permanently on your bike and simply move the bags on and off, I'd say these will hold up reasonably well. These are going to be somewhat light duty. This is not the thickest metal in the world, which will provide an air of visual lightness. These aren't going to visually overwhelm your motorcycle. Having said that, because they're not the sturdiest things in the world, these probably won't survive a crash, which I think is kind of unreasonable to expect of almost any luggage mount. However, these ones are probably not going to fare particularly well. So these are going to be available, again, for a pretty large variety of motorcycles. Individual installation is going to vary depending on what kind of motorcycle you have. Shouldn't be too difficult for most of you. Once you've got a set of these on your motorcycle, we can then talk about the luggage that you can put onto these racks. Let's show you what they've got. Alrighty, Shad's got two main lines of saddlebags here. I'm going to show them both to you, kind of highlight some of the differences between them. I think most people are going to kind of fall on one side of the fence or the other here. We'll start with the E48 saddlebag. So I'm going to call this sort of your traditional semi-rigid bag here. So these are, again, semi-rigid, so that means they are plastic lined, and these things will keep their shape even when empty. This bag, for instance, right now is not loaded. However, you can see it does have a very definite shape to it. I think it's a bit of an improvement over a soft bag, especially for those of you who leave bags on your bike kind of all the time. You don't have sort of these caved in, terrible looking bags. Now the shape on this thing, fairly aggressive, somewhat modern, also matches their tank bags in case you do plan on sort of loading in additional pieces of luggage. We'll be talking about those in just a moment. One of the things I think is pretty neat about these, they do have an expansion pocket. If you're anything like I am, sometimes you're jamming stuff into these, you don't have enough room. If you simply unzip that expansion pocket, it gives you that last little bit of room you need to get everything zipped up and get back on the road. One thing to note, these are not waterproof. These do, however, come with waterproof covers. So if it does start to rain, you can slip them over there. You'll wind up keeping your goods inside reasonably dry. So now we'll shift over here. We're looking now at the SW42 soft bag. Now this particular bag is a bit different. This thing actually is stuffed to help it keep its shape. This is also a fully waterproof bag. This is going to be much more water resistant than this bag we've seen over here. Slightly smaller volume on here. Now one of the other things to be aware of too is that the attachment setup on here a little bit less demanding, say here, than the E48. So these are just kind of a throw-over style bag. You can obviously use them with the racks there. However, if you have a set of racks that are not Shad branded, you may find that these will work with them. Again, you'll have to work a little bit as far as attachment is concerned. However, it does allow a little bit more flexibility in terms of mounting. So as far as I'm concerned, the breakdown on these two bags, I think these are going to be your traditional sort of overnight weekend bag for those who are maybe spending a night at a hotel. You may get caught in a little bit of harsh weather, but for the most part, this is going to be your good weather, carry a lot of stuff bag. This bag being just a little bit smaller, also much more waterproof, kind of for the more hardcore rider out there. Probably for those of you who are not going to necessarily need to move as much stuff. Probably also great for those of you who are going to be roughing it a little bit, where keeping your gear dry over a period of days is probably a little bit more important than somebody who's maybe snatching these off the bike and heading on into a hotel room. So that sort of rounds out the luggage that we can expect to see from Shad here. Let's move on to a few of their tank bags. Now, for those of you looking for either additional or different storage, you can also look to Shad for tank bags. So we'll discuss the bags for just a moment, the mounting system, and just a little bit after that. When it comes to the bags, things are pretty basic here. You've got a small, medium, large option. You can see we've got small and large here. Medium is on the bike behind me, as you can see. Should be pretty easy to figure out exactly what you need just based on volume. You know, again, for those of you who are just looking for something for your commuter, probably be all right with a smaller bag. However, those of you who are really trying to expand the luggage capacity of a bike that maybe wasn't necessarily designed to carry lots of stuff, might want to be looking at the larger sizes. Now, these all have some pretty common features here. Looking at these, you can see these are, again, semi-rigid. So even if you don't have stuff inside of these, they will keep their shape. They'll look nice. That shape will complement the lines of your motorcycle. Just about everything you see is going to have a touchscreen compatible cell phone pocket on the front here where your phone goes, as you can see. There will also be a pass-through pocket within these too. If you want to run a charger inside here, or if you happen to need cables running into or out of your bag, that is a good possibility. Now, the cool part here is that all of these work with Shad's pin mounting system. So I'll show you exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about that pin mounting system. You will get a bike-specific plate, again, that will bolt onto your bike here. And the way this thing actually works is these have interlocking pins that work with your aircraft filler style fuel cap. So these will pop on and pop off. If you look here, you can see this leash. This is actually a spring-loaded mechanism inside here that will retain this puppy on your pins, which you will install, again, on your fuel cap. So the question really becomes, what do I think of this mounting system? Because that's actually a pretty important point here. I like it. It's very low profile. However, I will say it's a little bit fiddly to get these things on here. If you don't want to damage your bike, you have to be very careful when you mount these. Now, it's not easy necessarily to damage your bike, but you do have to take some moment. If you're careless, I could see you damaging a motorcycle. This is in very stark contrast to, say, the SW Motec mounting system. Uses a very large plastic ring that mounts to your fuel cap. Again, probably better for those of you who are a little bit caveman when you're throwing stuff around. However, I will say it is kind of obtrusive looking. It's very noticeable that something is supposed to go on top of that. So if you're looking for sort of a low profile solution, the Shad pin system is excellent. Just be aware that you will want to take a moment to mount and dismount your tank bag. Now we'll talk for just a second about installation and kind of all of this stuff. The installation of that pin system, very easy. You're going to mount the plate to the bag, of course, and you're also going to mount the corresponding pins to the aircraft filler cap. Most of you should be done with that in just a few minutes with very basic hand tools. For those of you who are looking to install a set of luggage racks, you've got a little bit more work to do. You're probably going to require a little bit of disassembly on the tail of your bike. There will be a little bit of drilling and cutting. Don't be scared. It's not particularly difficult. However, you should be aware permanent modification will need to be made to your bike in order to run a set of Shad racks. However, that's probably going to be true of most other brands of racks as well. Once you've got your initial installation completed, I will say removing or installing either saddlebags or your tank bag should be very, very simple. That's the whole idea behind this system, is to get these things on and off the bike rather quickly. Again, for those of you who don't mind taking a few minutes too, if you are running a set of racks on your bike, if you don't mind busting out the wrenches really quick, you can usually take the entire rack off of your bike, leaving only the mounting hardware and spacers. It winds up being a very low profile look. Won't destroy the looks of your bike, but still leave you very able to convert your bike for trip ready in a moment's notice. I think Shad Luggage is a great opportunity. Some of the other names out there, there are definitely some bigger names that we're all familiar with. However, it doesn't mean that they're the only game in town. Don't take my word for it. However, check out some of those reviews. See what some folks who are running a Shad setup on their bike think about it, especially if it's somebody who's running a bike that is similar to or the same as your own. If you have any questions about size selection, volume of gear you're going to need, or perhaps need a little bit of install help on your bike, don't be afraid to get in touch with us. You can get a friendly Gear Geek, 877-792-9455. If you want to hit us up by phone, of course, you can always send us an email as well. CS@RevZilla.com. I'm Lem. I'm out of here.